at that.
What's good, my people? Thank you for choosing Total Payout Podcast. You're chilling with your host, Trouble. Today's date, April 3rd, 2026. Got 3 games on deck for y'all, so let's go ahead and handicap those games. We got Chicago versus New York, we got Minnesota versus Philly, and we got Orlando versus Dallas. So let's go ahead and get to it. Now, the first game we got on deck is going to be Chicago at New York, first meeting October 31st, home game for Chicago. Chicago +5 came through. Chicago money line 135, 125 over 233. Second game November 2nd, home game for New York. New York -7.5. New York 128, 116 over 234. And then the third game, home game for Chicago. Chicago +9.5. New York won 105.99 under 233. Now head to head last 10, New York 6-4 straight up last 10. Chicago 7-3 against the spread last 10, and the over is 6-4 last 10. Now, Chicago's profile, they're 0-5 straight up last 5, and then they're 6-1 against the spread last 7 versus New York. Now, New York's profile, 0-5 against the spread last 5, and they're 2-9 against the spread last 11 versus the Central, which is the Bulls division. Now, my personal line, I have New York -12, total around 233. We'll go ahead and roll with Chicago plus the 16 points. They came out plus 16. They're 7-3 against the spread last 10 against New York's in the last 10 games, and then 6-1 last 7 as a a little smaller sample size. So they're covering against New York. New York is a great home team, but I think that's a little bit too many points. Hopefully we can get the Bulls to show up in the Garden. Now, handicapping the second game, we got Minnesota versus Philly. We got Minnesota and Philly second meeting February 22nd, home game for Minnesota. Philly came through +9.5. Philly money line 135, 108 over 239. Now head to head last 10. They're 5-5 straight up last 10. Philly 5-4-1 against the spread last 10, and the over is 7-3. Now Minnesota is 21-15 straight up overall away from home. They're also 16-20 against the spread away from home. And now Minnesota's 8-3 straight up overall away versus the East, and they're 7-3 against the spread overall away versus the East. Now Philly is 21-17 straight up overall at home. They're also 17-21 against the spread overall at home. And now Philly 9-5 straight up overall at home versus the West, and 5-9 against the spread overall at home versus the West. Now Minnesota is on the back-to-back. Want to keep that in mind, but I'm gonna go ahead and roll with them plus the 3 for the get back. I mean, they were close against Detroit the previous night, so I'm gonna go ahead and take them to cover the 3 points tonight against Philly. Philly kind of coming on. Hopefully Ant plays. He was a late scratch against Detroit, so hopefully that was just looking at the back-to-back. And hopefully comes out and shows out against Philly on Good Friday. Now the third and final game, we're going to handicap Orlando versus Dallas. The second meeting March 5th. Home game for Orlando. Dallas +8. Orlando money line 115, 114 under 230. Now head to head last 10. Dallas 7-3 straight up last 10. Dallas 5-4-1 against the spread last 10, and the under 6-4 last 10. Now Orlando is 2-4 against the spread last 6. 2-8 straight up last 10. And 1-4 against the spread last 5 versus Dallas, and 1-4 straight up last 5 versus Dallas as well. Now Dallas 1-7 straight up last 8, 0-13 straight up last 13 at home, 13-0 straight up last 13 at home versus Orlando, and they're 8-6 against the spread at home versus the Eastern Conference. Now my personal line, I got Orlando -1, total around 231. I'm gonna go ahead and roll with Dallas plus the 7 points. They're 7-3 straight up against Orlando, 5-4-1 against the spread last 10, and then they're pretty much 13-0 straight up at home. That's hard to pass up. Orlando's not in their best. They're not playing their best right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and roll with Dallas plus that 7, getting that against Orlando at home. So let's go ahead and recap the games we're taking today. We got Chicago getting plus 16 in the Garden. Gonna take that game. I think a couple too many points into the season. Bulls tanking, but little too late just to cover 16 points. We ain't asking them to win the game. We got Minnesota +3 on the get back against Philly. Minnesota was close against Detroit last night. I think they go ahead and get this one against Philly. I would take them on the money line if Ant shows up. I definitely love Minnesota. If Ant shows up, I expect this line to go the other way. like I said, they almost got the cover without him versus Detroit. I think they can go ahead and get that and complete that tonight versus Philly. Now the third game we got is gonna be Orlando versus Dallas. We got Dallas at home getting +7. We're gonna take Dallas plus the 7 points. 13-0 straight up last 13 against Orlando. Obviously, we know Orlando is better than Dallas this year, but Orlando's not in their best form right now, so we're gonna try to take advantage of them and get Dallas at home. Not too many home games left, so I'm sure they want to make kind of a decent impression. The rookie got a couple more games to play, so I'm sure he wants to leave a good impression. So I expect Dallas players who've been sitting out. I know a lot of them sat out the last game. Hopefully they all come back. Clay was on rest. It was a lot of players that sat out. Hopefully they all come back and play the last couple home games they do got to get their fans what they deserve. Coming to see that sorry team, man, at least let them go out with a bang. So once again, man, you chilling with your boy Trouble, Total Payout Podcast. I appreciate you guys giving me your time on a Good Friday. Um, you know, Please give me a like, comment, and subscribe at the end of this video. Greatly appreciate it. And you guys have a great one. And like I always say, please stay out the way. Thank you.
Hey, Rick and Thad.